Hi, Jim. Thank you so much for reaching out, and I really appreciate your message and your request to have some tarot readings done. Every little bit counts. Things have definitely been pretty stressful for the past couple of months, so I really do appreciate the support. And I'm looking forward to reading for you. We're going to start today with what's called an opening of the key reading. And to do this, we're going to use a significator to represent you. Based on the fact that you're a Capricorn, I chose the Knight of Discs to represent you. So I'm going to stick this here, and we're going to shuffle them up, and we're going to see what we get. Okay, I have finished shuffling here. So we're going to cut, and this has a kind of funky way of being cut here. Cool. All right, so we've got 4 piles, each corresponding to an element. We're going right to left, just as in Hebrew. Isn't that fun? So we've got fire, water, air, and earth. And so this is giving us sort of just an overall sense of what we're talking about here. I get the sense that you're not feeling very fulfilled at the moment with your work, in a sense. There's something that I think you maybe feel like you've been pushing a rock up a hill in some area of your, I believe your career is what I'm sensing with this, because of the placement of the Ace of Wands in your Earth pile. I almost get the sense that you're like starting to think of maybe doing something different or new, or have a new angle on something, or start some sort of new project, because there's something that you're kind of a bit frustrated, or maybe frustrated isn't the word for it, but perhaps a little just bored with whatever track you've been on. It feels like it hasn't, like it's just been sort of cycling back and forth for a while, perhaps. You may even feel like you flip flop a little bit on how you feel about it, but I think it's also kind of evinced by the Nine of Cups in the fire pile. So your sense of ambition, your creative energy is a bit. Um, it, it, I, based on the other stuff, I feel like it's not feeling terribly fulfilled, or, the Nine of Cups is not really happy to be in the fire pile. So it's not, we wouldn't say that it's well aspected. So, maybe it's a sense that, like, on a surface level, you have achieved what it is you've wanted to achieve, but there's something about it that is, like, still just quite not, it's just a little missing. There's something missing. So we're going to look for your significator, which again is the Knight of Discs in this deck. And I'm going to take a look at the air pile to start. And you're not in there. And you're in the earth pile. Okay. Second try is the charm. So yeah, this pile again, Ace of Wands in Earth, indicates wanting to start some sort of, or manifest more deliberately, some sort of specific project or idea that you've had, or goal, to make something new. So anywho, we're going to spread this out and we're going to see what we get. So this is called Opening of the Key. It's a pretty old method of divination, at least I think. I mean, it's about uh, developed around the turn of the 20th century by a bunch of kooky occultists. So I have no idea what we're going to get here. It could be a very long string, it could be a very short string. Because what we're going to do now is count from your significator, which is all the way over here. So you're definitely being shown as seeking out, looking for something new, putting your mind to some kind of change. Counting, we get 1, 2, 3, 4. Um, did you recently let go of something? I think you've recently made the decision to let go of something that wasn't really fulfilling you anymore. Yeah. Um, and there may be some painful aspects of this, certainly. I mean, i especially if it's something that you've been doing for a long time, or if it's something that is really kind of wrapped up with your concept of self, your ego, um, your identity, really. Um, I think that you've gone through something like that recently. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But I also get the sense, though, that it's something that you've chosen. It's not something that was imposed upon you. Sorry, I need to count that again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay. 6 of discs. Um, okay, so I don't know that it ended necessarily in a friendly way. There's some negative energy around it, but it seems that you've um, how do I want to put it? Like, the deal is done. You've made out okay. You're not necessarily hurting because of this change, but there's definitely some weird. I almost want to say some animosity around it, and I'm not sure where it comes from. But from death, we counted to the 6 of discs, which is aspected by the 10 of swords and the 7 of wands. That is a really rough, aggressive energy that is happening, or that is bookending or influencing whatever sort of benefits have come from letting that thing go that you weren't that you were just no longer feeling fulfilled by. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This has definitely led to, again, some sort of new idea. We've counted to the Ace of Wands. Uh, you've got some sort of project, I think, that you're starting to maybe put together, or you have the inkling of some kind of idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Maybe a specific opportunity that has now emerged, maybe. Um, we count from the Ace of Wands to the Princess of Cups. Huh. She is. I don't know what she has to do with this. I don't know. I don't know if this is like. I almost get the sense that this is like a student that you did not enjoy teaching. I don't know if that's relevant at all. Um, because yeah, there's like some weird tension, but I to be blunt, like, the Princess of Cups is basically, in this situation, as aspected by the 2 of Swords and the 7 of Cups, she's kind of lazy. She's a bit um out there. She's not very focused at all. She kind of does. She takes a lot of prodding to, like, get anywhere. Um, she's a little naive, and just, like, has growing to do, I feel. And I don't know if this is like something that has particularly influenced this decision, or made you think, like, okay, I could move on now. Um, I'm not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We count from her to the 6 of Swords. And the 6 of Swords is. Yeah, I mean, I definitely see her as, like, being a motivator for, this kind of. I almost want to call it like a soul search that you've been maybe going through. Maybe this experience with this person just really forced you to kind of reevaluate some things and think about what it is that really makes you happy, because I feel like that's a big part of this redirection that you're going through right now, is just trying to reclaim some sense of joy about what you do, perhaps about teaching specifically. Um, I feel like this person, or maybe even multiple people, it could certainly be, a type of student that you're just kind of like tired of dealing with in general. And that would certainly make sense, especially as a as a Capricorn. Capricorns really don't jive well with people like that. Especially if you're trying to teach them and motivate them to grow, and they're just like so reluctant to listen to you, or they're too wrapped up in their own kind of emotional issues to really be able to respond positively to the kind of teaching that you were trying to give them, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Four of Cups aspected by Death and the Eight of Wands. So technically, we would say that Death and the Eight of Wands, being water and fire, respectively, technically kind of cancel each other out as far as an influence on the central card. So technically, we would primarily read the central card here. And that is a sense of just, yeah, kind of ennui. I mean, the Four of Cups is just, it's always like the grass is greener card. What you have is good, it's acceptable, it's somewhat enjoyable even, but there is something missing from the experience. So yeah, again, you're kind of just continuing to follow that kind of circuit here. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. You are perhaps starting to feel stuck, however. Perhaps your search is taking longer than you expected, maybe? And that might just be because of like COVID and stuff. I don't know if that's a factor here in what is kind of presently stymieing you a little bit, but it does seem like you are um, a little confused about what to do, or you feel like you don't have a whole lot of options in front of you. You're feeling restricted, and part of that restriction comes from a fear, a concern of the unknown, which is why I wonder if it does have something to do with current events right now, and just where the world is and where we as performers and artists are right now. It's a terrifying time, and it's impossible to really make plans for things right now. Especially with these variants cropping up. So again, I get the sense that like that might have something to do with it. Um, there is an element of like maybe health implied by the Queen of Discs here. So it could be that like concerns about that are what are kind of locking you up at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that counts us back to the Six of Discs, which is interesting. I'm not sure what that says about the kind of outcome here, or like what the pattern is. I think you're kind of, I think you've not necessarily made like a bad decision or anything, because I think you're probably okay, as far as stability is concerned. But you're definitely um, in a bit of a repeating loop of wondering, I think, if like this was the right time to make this decision, perhaps. If this was the right environment to change your mind about how you feel about perhaps teaching, or yeah, I get the sense that that's what it is, and it may even be like teaching a certain age group of students as well. I'm not sure if that's part of it as well, because again, this like Princess of Cups person, whoever they may be, has a very youthful energy to them, which is different from the energy that you've got in the reading. So anywho, we're supposed to pair from the ends and add details to the story that we just sort of wove. So we've got Ace of Wands and the Knight of Discs, which is you at the extreme ends, paired together here. So again, coming up with something different. You've got some sort of plan for action here, some sort of idea you've got to create something new. A large process in which you weighed a lot of choices, a lot of decisions, and I think you went through the decision process as rationally as you possibly could. Um, but at the end of it, I get the sense that you kind of followed your heart ultimately. Like after all of this planning, or rather after all of this kind of analysis that you went through in this process, you ultimately kind of made an emotional choice. I feel, because you've got death paired with the Knight of Cups. So in some way, what ended it ultimately was an emotional thing. Your heart telling you one thing, and finally you just kind of said enough and went with it. Is what I gather from that pairing. Um, Seven of Wands and Four of Cups. Yeah, just like frustrated with stagnation. Just not feeling like there was a big impact being made, or a big um, amount of growth happening. Just a sense of being stuck and just being kind of fed up with it. Not in a very dramatic way, certainly, but just like irked by it, I guess. And then Eight of Wands over here with the Six of Discs. I don't know what that's about. I'm not sure what that's trying to say, especially considering what comes after it. Huh. I don't know if you. Well, I have no idea what it means in relation to this situation, to be perfectly honest with you. And sometimes that happens with opening of the key. But I will say the vibe, the meaning that comes to me anyway, and you can think about this, and if it makes sense one way or another, great. But there's some kind of sense of like making money quickly, if that makes any sense, or like um yeah, like expecting results without putting a whole lot of effort in. And again, maybe that speaks to the kind of work ethic that you were, aggravated by, or feeling disappointed by in some way, not fulfilled by. I don't know. There's something along those lines of, yeah, like it's an idea of making some sort of uh, success as quickly as possible. And that's not you. That's not really like a Capricorn energy. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. Uh, Queen of Discs and the Ten of Swords. I don't know if you had a particular falling out too, possibly with someone. I'm not sure. You've got the Queen of Discs here. I assume that she is kind of similar to you in disposition. It may even be like a family member, or someone you consider a close friend, or I'm gathering that it's a colleague. That's more the energy that I get from her, because I feel like she's kind of, well, she didn't come into play in the reading. We didn't count to her, so I don't know how important she necessarily is. Um, but there is a an icky situation that happened with this person based on the pairing with the Ten of Swords. Like, something has changed with this person, and your relationship with them, and it's not for the better, and it's sort of irredeemable in some way. I don't know if that makes sense, but that seems to be something that's also kind of happened here. Eight of Swords with the Seven of Cups. Um, yeah, further energies of like stick in the mud, you know, just like being in a really stuck headspace. I'm not sure who this is applying to. Maybe it's applying to you, feeling, maybe perhaps feeling um, a little bad or sour about how this ended with this person or colleague or I do sense that something about the transition here, despite it coming from a place of sincerity on your part, has not gone well with people or has not been well received or has been stressful in some capacity. And I get the sense that because your, plan for whatever it was that you wanted to do differently, because it's sort of stuck right now, I feel like you're kind of just like meditating maybe on this on this experience and wondering maybe if you did the right thing, perhaps. Uh, but yeah, there's a small sense of like wallowing, even just like having too much time on one's hands and thinking about it too much and feeling too badly about things. I don't know. I mean, that's what those two cards put together mean in sort of any situation. So I don't know. And then we've got the Moon and the Princess of Cups. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know if you had a particular situation with a specific student or not. It may even come back to, again, working in a pandemic with a bunch of kids that you don't know if they're being careful or not, or I mean that could be a part of it as well. um, if it was a specific student that really kind of put you off, then I would say that they seem a bit troubled. I don't know. I think that they may even have a drug problem. um, yeah, I don't know if that's something that you were even aware of, or I don't know. But there's something up with that student that I was mentioning before that I got a weird vibe from, or students. But yeah, there the moon represents, at its core, it represents fear, but it really represents dreams and things that are shadowy and murky and subconscious and um, having to do with the nighttime, very generally. Um, Dreams and that sort of thing, and illusions and things that we can't possibly know about, and so therefore we fear them. Based on the fact that she's paired with the moon and she's got influence from the Seven of Cups, that's not a person that has a great mental foundation. So, yeah, not sure what was up with them. But the ultimate, where the energy totally stops here and comes down to, is the Fool and the Two of Swords. So, yeah, you've got this like brave new world in front of you and nowhere to go, is what I'm getting from this reading. And again, I assume that it has something to do with the way things are in the world right now. Maybe it doesn't, but I think that's very likely. So yeah, you're kind of just stuck, and I'm sorry to see that, because it seems like you went through a lot of decision making with this, and a lot of critical thinking and feeling was put into this, and I think your heart was in the right place at the time. But now you may be feeling a little bit like you shot yourself in the foot or something along those lines. At the very least, you just feel kind of stuck. and like things aren't going anywhere anytime soon. But we're going to take a look now at a 10 card. So because these opening of the key readings are sometimes a little vague, or sometimes I just have a hard time reading them, frankly, I have been doing like an additional quick 10 card just to sort of flush things out, see if we can get some additional or more specific answers. So I'm going to shuffle these up and I will see you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. So I have finished shuffling, I just cut, and we're going to do our Celtic Cross here. Let me move these out of the way here. And we'll see what we get. Hopefully it sort of confirms the previous reading. Well, you know, how do I want to start with this one? I do feel like you made the right choice for yourself. You know, you did it for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. Um, it's interesting. Your significator came up as the overall, like, the base card of the whole shebang, and crossing it is the Three of Pentacles. So yeah, it's definitely taking a look at like what your work is looking at for the next chapter of your life. What exactly do you want to do with your career after, you know, you've in the maybe I wait on that one. Basis of the situation is strength. So again, you know, we keep coming back to this idea of fulfillment and what exactly inspires you about what you do, what fulfills you about what you do, and what do you want to create with what you do. I feel like that's the basis of your having made this choice. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't talk quite so much about like the actual lead up to anything the way that the previous reading did. It sort of is just, well, let me keep going with what I can decipher here. Your perspective is the Nine of Wands, which confirms the sense of being kind of tired by the amount of time that it's taken for things to get back on track, for you to have the opportunity to really manifest whatever it is that you've got brewing, that you're excited about, that you're passionate about. You know, making that actually a reality is blocked at the moment, for better or worse. And I think, you know, after coming out of a period of success, or I don't know, there's a sense in the Chariot of like taking control of the situation or taking the reins of the situation, perhaps when it was feeling like it was starting to get out of control, maybe, especially dealing with student or students who were problematic, or just like running the show in a way, perhaps. And I feel like you've reclaimed something of yourself in making this choice. It just sucks that, you know, the environment for it at the moment is not quite right, to no fault of your own, of course. In the environment, yeah, you've got the Nine of Swords, which does tell me that, you know, something, there's still some latent guilt or anxiety. I get the sense more of guilt, that you feel poorly about how it ended, or how it just how it turned out just doesn't sit well with you in a way. You know, it is also connected to the sense of waiting and the exhaustion of COVID, I think. and just how frustrating it is to be a musician right now. Um, I don't know if you have been thinking about doing even more, performance based stuff, and so that's why you're feeling particularly stuck because it's so hard to make performances kind of happen right now. Or traveling is really difficult right now. I mean, all of those things that kind of go hand in hand with that career choice are not really possible at the moment. So let's see. I wish I could say that it's going to get better in the foreseeable future, but I honestly, based on this, I cannot. Immediate future, you've got the Eight of Cups. So, you know, boredom is really what the Eight of Cups largely represents to me. It's the Lord of Indolence. And it represents, it really speaks to kind of like a dark night of the soul kind of thing where you're kind of wandering and looking for something to satisfy you and nothing is really quite turning up the way that you'd like, and it's a heavy dried up kind of feeling, and it doesn't, well, it jibes quite nicely with the sense of exhaustion represented by the nine of wands, excuse me. uh Hopes and fears are the Eight of Wands. I think you just wish something would happen. you know, the Eight of Wands is really just about action or movement, rapidity. Um, uh, so I think you just wish that something would change quickly. Enough is enough. That you could get a move on with all of this. There's a lot of pent up energy here that isn't going anywhere. Um, and I think what your takeaway from this has to be, the Eight of Pentacles, is that this is an opportunity perhaps for you to continue to like develop a skill that you've been working on, or that's important to you. It's an opportunity to gather energy slowly. So part of you is like, why the heck am I not doing anything? Why am I stuck here? As a Capricorn, you're wondering why you're not being productive or what have you. But it's an opportunity again to kind of recharge and reinvest your energy in a new direction. The Eight of Pentacles is always about growth for me. It's the Sun in Virgo, so it's really like it's a very agricultural card to me anyway. It's the sense of the sun beating on a seed, and slowly the seed absorbs nutrients from the soil and eventually comes up and turns into something, right? And that's kind of what the eight is about. It's about patience and prudence, and slow and steady kind of wins the race energy. So that's where I think that's the best way you can possibly react to the environment you're in right now. Just try to be as productive as you can, even if it's in small ways, or incremental ways, what have you. That's going to help keep you feeling like you're on the right track or feeling sane or anything like that. Because I know all of us are kind of getting stir crazy, because especially with the brief taste of freedom that we have had, this summer. I have a feeling this fall is not going to be pretty, but yeah, I have no idea. None of us do. Anywho, last card we got here to talk about is overall outcome is the Five of Swords. Now, this is not necessarily a great outcome. I get the sense that it's not necessarily bad for you, but you're going to continually feel that sense of remorse or like regret or guilt about things. And at some point, you are going to have to, for your own sake, just kind of let this go. I think there's no point really in feeling like you've betrayed somebody, or you made the choice, you did it for yourself, and that's okay. That's okay. It's all right to, at times in our lives be a little selfish, and I don't think you necessarily, I don't think you've caused as much harm as you maybe think that you did. Um, I, yeah, I that's not like you, you know. So I wouldn't sweat this too much. Um, yeah, I think the meaning of this card is kind of like victory at any cost to me. And the only couple of things that it resonates with, this is Venus in Aquarius, right? So this resonates a bit with only, doesn't resonate with anything other than the Nine of Swords, as I just indicated. That's interesting. So yeah, I mean, this, whatever this sense of success at any cost, whatever this is, it is connected to the anxiety that you feel from other people in this situation, that you feel you may be hurt or had a poor send off with or what have you. Um, and at the end of the day, you do have to worry about yourself. In all fairness, at least that is my opinion. And I also don't think that necessarily you did anything that bad or you did the wrong thing. It's just not a great moment in general. Um, that's mostly what I gather. I don't know. I mean, I don't think the Five of Swords is anything too dire here, so I wouldn't sweat it too much. But I hope that this was helpful. I hope it gave you a different perspective. Um, Maybe confirmed some things for you, gave you something to think about. At the very least, here we go. Oh boy, this is a great camera. This is a really good camera. Um, oh, for goodness sake. There we go. At the very least, thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the help. And I hope that this helps you in any small way. I really hope that it's accurate. I hope that it makes sense and, again, can be helpful to you in some way. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to get to the one for Drew either tonight or tomorrow morning. This is the second one of these that I've done today, and they're a little draining. So I'll try to get on it as soon as I can. But let me know if you have any questions and if I can help you out in any other way. And I do hope to be able to visit you sometime soon. It would be very nice. It would be very nice. I miss you guys quite a lot. So thank you again, Jim, and I hope you're well. Take care. Much love. Bye-bye.